Hi, this is the Flex podcast, and I'm Anna Martin, your host for this wonderful chat about the menopause and all the joys in which it brings. So, first and foremost, this isn't something where I'm going to start telling you whether you should or shouldn't take HRT and what types of HRT you should look at. I'm not a doctor. I don't think you should be taking advice on that from Anna from the gym or nor Jane from the baker, nor anyone random. That's something that you're going to discuss with your GP, with a medical professional, and that you will make an informed decision on yourself. The purpose of this podcast is to look at things that you can do to take control back yourself that have to do with your lifestyle and what you can do that will make a difference, and what bits of advice are exactly the same, irrelevant of what age you are, and things that we want to get in to our lifestyle so that we can reap the benefits at any point in our life. So there are things to do with the menopause, symptoms of the menopause, that you are probably not going to see incredible benefits from exercise from, right? Anything related to periods and stuff, what is the gym going to do, or any kind of workout going to do to help with those? Probably nothing, right? But there are things that exercise can do and that it plays a massive role in things like stress management, endorphin relief, anxiety relief, sleep pattern, all of this kind of stuff that can have direct impact on how you are feeling. So if we think first about our exercise in terms of stress management and anxiety release and so on. So exercise boosts anti-anxiety neurochemicals. So they're chemicals in your brain. So it's going to help to boost those endorphin levels and help to produce more positive emotions. It also diverts attention away from things that you might be feeling anxious or stressed about. It decreases the tension in your muscle so that you will feel more relaxed and so on. And it helps to build up resources that bolster your resilience against your emotions. So, things like when you feel stronger, more positive neurochemicals and all that kind of stuff. I know that you know already, if you're on a podcast with someone who is a fitness professional, they're going to tell you to work out. I am telling you to work out. It's going to decrease your stress levels. Exercise has a direct impact on the reduction of dementia risk, on the reduction of the risk of osteoporosis and a risk of diabetes. So as well, HRT has direct impact on those as well. However, in terms of things that you are able to physically do in your lifestyle, exercise is something that's going to help contribute to that as well, whether you are taking HRT or not. So if you're a woman of any age, you should be doing some resistance training. You have to be moving against the load. We in 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, we would have had much more physicality in our day-to-day life. It probably wasn't even enough then, if I'm honest, to have that resistance element of things to decrease the risk of some of these things happening, especially stuff like osteoporosis and so on. However, we probably didn't have quite such a long lifespan. And so you're able to see the impact that exercise can directly have on your body if you are able to keep it going throughout your lifetime. Also, it has that impact on your mobility and your strength, so that when you're an old lady, you're still going to be able to do things like get about, get out of the chair, do your own household chores and things like that. We want to stave it off for as long as possible. So I cannot harp on enough about doing resistance training, especially for women. It's something that people tend to kind of, oh yeah, but it's cool because I'm going to my Zumba class. And going to your dance fitness class is amazing, and that is very good for your cardiovascular health. There are some benefits in terms of osteoporosis, especially in the lower parts of your body. But you have to think we need to be using our upper body as well. We need to be building strength, which a dance fitness class will not necessarily do if you are already doing it. If you're not doing anything and you start doing some cardiovascular class, there will be some feelings of increased strength and so on because it's something that you haven't been doing. But if you are already doing that, not yet adding in resistance training, you're not going to continue to feel strength benefits from just doing a dance fitness class. So we do need to seriously consider that, and I can't press that enough. Not only for your physicality and how you feel physically, but also for your your mindset and your mental health. If you feel stronger, if you're doing something to help yourself, if you're taking control, that's going to have a massive effect on your mindset, which at any age is important, but it's especially important as we are not 25 anymore and we want to feel that we've got our shit together and we have got our ducks in a row when it comes to our physical health. Other things that you can look at any age, but especially if we're experiencing anything that might affect our mental health and so on, is reducing our alcohol intake. So one or two drinks can stimulate something in your brain called GABA, which makes you feel happier and more relaxed. But if you're doing like heavy drinking, so drinking more frequently, or like, and maybe to be honest, using it as a coping mechanism because you want to feel better and want to feel more positive. So if you're drinking like every day or you have more heavy drinking, it can actually deplete GABA, which is a neurotransmitter in your brain, causing increased tension and feelings of like stress and panic. Then the brain has to rebalance. Obviously, it's going to have to rebalance those neurotransmitters. So it's going to decrease the amount of GABA from the one or two nice drinks that you had. And then you've got this rebalancing phase. So you might find some mood fluctuations as well. So reducing your alcohol intake, if you're using it like a lot socially or to try and relax like every evening, that's the first thing you should look at. And we already know that really we shouldn't be drinking at all. Some of us do. I definitely do. But we need to make sure we're having some alcohol free days every week. And so that's having slightly more alcohol free days than you are having alcohol on, if that makes sense. So it's not don't just skip one night. Try to make sure that you're having at least 4 nights of no alcohol. So alcohol can also make your hot flushes worse because it's a vasodilator. And then again, we have the fact that it does contain calories, and some types of alcohol are much higher in calories than others, especially anything that comes in a pint, and also anything that comes with full fat mixers and so on, cocktails and so on. So if we're looking at things that people talk about when it comes to menopause in terms of weight gain around the middle, and changes in their body, if we know that we're relying on alcohol to help make us feel better, we already know that our calorie intake is going up. And there's so much research happening into how our changes in hormones affect our fat storage. And that is something that is not something that I'm going to be able to help you with. They're researching it. There are going to be things that help us more and that give us more knowledge as we go. But your energy balance is still going to come into it, whether you are perimenopausal, menopausal or not. So energy balance is still going to be a thing, even if some of our hormones are telling our body where to store fat in different places or to store it more or whatever. We still need to have a decent energy balance. So that is to make sure that we're not consuming more than we need. Again, if you're not resistance training and you don't have a lot of muscle mass, your energy requirements are lower. And as we know, naturally, unless you're resistance training, your muscle mass will decrease with your age. So that already tells you that your energy requirements might be decreasing as you get older. Also, in terms of our jobs and so on, our lifestyles, we might have slightly more high-powered jobs as we get older. There's less young children around, so there's less energy expenditure. So that can also have implications. And I'm not saying that is the whole picture at all. We're just talking about the things that we can do something about ourselves right now in terms of our health and fitness. So if you can look at ways to create energy balance, to eat healthily, also to reduce your alcohol intake and start doing some resistance training, that is going to have an impact on how you feel and also on your physique and the amount of muscle mass that you're able to maintain. And before you think she's talking to me like a bodybuilder, like retaining my muscle mass, yes, that is probably how a bodybuilder might talk about it as well. However, this is just talking in terms of we need to keep our muscle. No one wants to be so weak that they can't do anything in 20 years' time. So we need to maintain the muscle we have and, if possible, gain a bit, right? Especially if we weren't doing any exercise before, we can still make changes that are going to make that happen. Okay, so then also we have something called cortisol that is a hormone that has effect on, especially as we all know, on our stress levels. So the menopause can cause increases in the level of cortisol in our bodies. So, and it can contribute to things like hot flushes, mood swings, brain fog, weight gain, bone density, increased anxiety, fatigue, that kind of stuff. So, what can we do about cortisol, especially in terms of our health and our fitness levels? We want to make sure that we are doing some kind of relaxing hobby that we find that chills us down. We want to move more because, as we've already talked about, exercise is a stress relief. I'm not talking about potentially, exercising 85 hours a day. You're actually spanking the crap out yourself. You're making your body more stressed. I'm talking about a realistic amount of exercise going to fit into your lifestyle. So, a few times a week, that stress relief, that boost in endorphins, obviously, the more you move, the more calories you need, all of that kind of stuff. Stay hydrated, decrease caffeine intake, avoid smoking and drinking, eat a diet high in veg and protein. So when you look at that, that are already the recommendations for everybody. So we already want to make sure we're drinking more. We want to, if we drink caffeine, there's nothing necessarily wrong with drinking caffeine, but we want to monitor it in terms of, because it has effects on things like pulse rate, which can increase the feelings of anxiety and so on. So we do want to make sure that we are monitoring all this kind of stuff. Obviously, we don't want to smoke. Biggest known carcinogen on the planet. Obviously, as we talked about before, we know we shouldn't really be drinking at all. However, most of us do because it's part of our culture, but we're going to limit the amount to which we're drinking, and we're going to eat a diet high in veg and protein, which is exactly the same pieces of information as if you were 21-year-old female versus 51, 61, 71-year-old female. Also, caveat to the protein, again, as I always try and mention, that if you do have any issues with your kidneys or any changes in kidney function, that you do need to discuss that with your GP or consultant before you're increasing your protein level. So, in order to boost this cortisol and also to boost how we feel and reduce our cortisol, we're looking to do things like having a good bedtime routine, having good relationships and socializing, diets rich in omega-3, fiber, fermented foods, stuff like that. So this is all stuff that we already know, right? We need a diet rich in fiber. We're eating loads of veg, we're eating whole grains, we're eating our things like our salmon and so on for our fatty acids, and trying to eat a really nice, well-balanced diet. If you could do something that could at least have a hand in making this process better and a better outcome for you mentally and physically, why wouldn't you do it? So I think that is kind of my key message here. Yes, it is crap. There isn't really anything we can do to change the fact that our bodies change so much as we age, right? In terms of, this is something that we're all going to go through at some point. Yes, there are medical stuff that you can get HRT, and you can do things to reduce the symptoms and to improve the outcome for you physically in terms of things like osteoporosis and so on. Very good. Get that done if you want to. So go talk about it, do your research, make your own decisions. Then you've got things that you can physically do within your lifestyle to make everything feel that touch better. And it is important because these are times where we can start to feel like our own physicality and who we are is not inside of our control anymore. And I think when I'm working with my clients, especially on this, that's one of the worst things for them. It feels like they are changing as a person and they're not feeling in control of what is going on for them. And actually, that's one of the key players here, is that if you can do something to get that back, get that feeling of control back, that you know who you are, that you are doing what you can, that you have all of these ducks in a row that mean that you are on top of things from your side, then that is a great starting point and a great way to boost your mindset around it. It's good to start at any level with exercise. Start small, but know that you need to progress at some point. We don't need to go in with this full, crazy, wonderful training program that's going to have us training 5 days a week and doing all this cardio. That isn't something that is realistic for most people if they're starting from nothing. Do start by just doing something you think is fun. Get into your dance fitness class, enjoying it, all that kind of stuff. That is great. That's going to be great for your mental health, for your cardiovascular health. There will be some decrease in osteoporosis and risk, as we've talked about before. You're going to help to retain some of your mobility and so on. But if you have got the capacity to fit more in and you're choosing not to, because it might affect you the time that you get to chillax on the sofa or whatever, then it might be politely time, if I may say, to get a grip. Because we do need to step outside of our comfort zone and our routine to start making changes. And that is something that is absolutely inevitable at any stage of life with anything that you want to happen. You do have to make changes. And it isn't something, feeling fit and healthy, being strong, getting a training plan in place, all of these things, they take effort. And I cannot get rid of that for you. Whether I'm your PT, your coach, whether you're doing Flex Big Three, I cannot do it for you. I can't, just knowing these things doesn't make them happen to you. You have to physically change the way that you're living or start to make changes at least that then open the door for you to feel better, to move better, to potentially start to reach or make changes to your physique that you want to. That has to be something that's coming from you. I'm there to support and I'm there to help with like information and strategies and all of that kind of stuff and how to implement it. But inevitably, it is you that has to do the work. So we do need to think that even though there's all of this crap stuff happening that's outside of our control in terms of the changes that our body is inevitably going through, there are still things that you can do to feel better and to move better. And that's key. Grab onto what you can that is going to help you still feel that you've got that control over what is going on for you and your body. If you know something is going to have a net positive result, then why wouldn't we want to do that? Yes, there are always going to be negatives, right? To starting anything new. It's outside of your comfort zone. It's taking time away from relaxation or from hanging out with friends or whatever. But if it's going to have a net positive result in terms of your health, and also there are ways that you can include people in your life to do that. Maybe you want to go to the gym with your partner or go to an exercise class with your friends, go for a walk with people. Whatever it is, there are changes that you can make that will have that positive impact whilst taking away some of the negatives in inverted commas that you might see happening in terms of reduction in your free time or having to pack for the gym while to go to work so that you can go straight from work because if you go straight home you're not going to go. So to have those structures in there so that you know that they're more likely to happen, they're going to have that net positive result. It's a bit like if you're a bit tired, exercise is going to make you feel a lot better. If you are poorly, it probably won't. So if you are feeling a bit tired and a bit jaded, but you get yourself in that gym, get yourself to your class, do that home workout, and afterwards you feel more energized, more positive, more satisfied with yourself, you're chuffed with yourself, then that's great. If you're feeling so stressed and overwrought and beside yourself and run down and all of these things, is exercise next necessarily going to make you feel better? Is going to a HIIT class and smashing the crap out of yourself necessarily going to make you feel better? Maybe not. Maybe it's nice to go for a walk with some people, spend some time with people, reduce your stress levels, be outdoors. We have to get to know ourselves as well so that we can realistically say, no, do you know what? Today I'm being a massive wuss. I need to get a grip and go to the gym compared to times when we're like, I need to be kind to myself because I literally feel so stressed I might cry. So there's different, there's a range there, but we need to get to know who we are and how our body is reacting to what it's going through. So on the flip side of that, we've got where our comfort zone has been in, and the older that we get, the longer we've been in that comfort zone. We've built a lifestyle for ourselves. For some people, that has never included exercise. So this is kind of more So this is to do in terms of exercise for sure, but also in terms of things that we do with our social lives, with our hobbies and so on. We've built a life, and therefore our comfort zone is very secure. We know exactly what's in it, what we like doing. We've had a lot of experience and we find where we are at with stuff. But if we want to make changes where we perhaps feel like we have slightly more control over our physicality, then we are going to potentially have to step outside our comfort zone. And that does go across the board. And I was talking to one of my lovely clients about this week. She said about me starting this podcast, and I'd said to the guys on the Big Three how out of my comfort zone it was. Like, I normally like to I record loads of videos, but I do them inside the hub, and I'm very comfortable with that. But to record myself for any person to hear pushes me outside of my comfort zone. And then even the recording, one, and then two, to post about it on social media and tell people that I really don't know that now look at me, I've got a podcast, makes me feel all a bit cringy, a bit nervous, and all that kind of stuff. So everyone has a comfort zone, but if I don't do this, then I can't help more people with the stuff that I'm working on with my clients. Like, it's great that I'm able to talk to my clients about this in our PT sessions and through their check-ins. But if I can help other people by talking about this, why wouldn't I? Even though it makes me feel uncomfortable and even though I find it a bit nerve-wracking, at some point I'm going to find this the most relaxing thing I've ever done. But in the meantime, I need to put the reps in to get to that point. And it's kind of the same with any change in life, whether you're looking for a new hobby, maybe you want to join a new group, maybe you want to go to a fitness class you've never been to, or you want to start working out in the gym, but you're too nervous because you haven't done it ever, or you haven't done it recently. It is difficult to make these changes, but we do need to change our comfort zone because so many of us would benefit more from focusing some energy on ourselves. So women especially, I feel like quite I don't know, this is such a generalization of it, like probably a bit sexist, but women are really kind of giving as people in terms of time and energy, and there's a lot of things going on with a lot of balancing to be had. And I think focusing a little more energy on yourself, on your health, your mindset, your muscle mass, your importance is okay. It's okay to do that. Your body is the only one that you have to live in, and you don't have to sacrifice its health for everybody else. People are going to support you, and it's really nice if you can involve your family and your friends in this. You could be you could be the starter of the butterfly effect in your social circle. You're going to be inspiring other people to join you, to do the same, to maybe spend a little bit time on them, a bit more time on themselves, which is important. We all need to be able to have that space in our lives to do a bit of self-care. And for some people, self-care is looking after their body. It massively is for me. I got scoliosis, as I'm sure you know. Structurally, it's a bit of a nightmare. I'm sure it's not going to feel any better when I go through the menopause and when I start to age. I'm sure that's not going to make it feel any better. I have to put the work in now to make sure that I can do what I can to keep the situation as it is, or hopefully improve it somewhat. I do have to, self care for me is training. So I will always prioritize that above things like going out. Don't get me wrong, I go out as well. But if the choice for me is between fitting in my 4 gym sessions that week that are my non negotiables, or going out, I will do the gym every time because my spinal health is more important to me than whether I go to the pub. Um, Going to the pub with my friends is still very important to me because I love to see them. But I can't go if my back is screwed. So, first and foremost, make sure my physical body is doing okay. So, it's all right for you to take time to look after the body that you live in. You've only got that one body, and it's okay to want to look after it, to create that routine for you or for people around you, and to really push a bit on that comfort zone and see, like, where can I expand it slowly and grow what I feel comfortable in within my life, especially when it comes to things that are going to help me feel in control of this process that my body is currently going through. So there is, as we mentioned before, and I'm going to wrap up a bit because I feel like I've been rambling for a bit. There's a balance between being kind to yourself in terms of relaxing. You do need to sit on the sofa. You do need time to chill. Self-care, meditate, get your face mask on. All of those things are really important. But there are also the flip side of self-care, which can be a little bit harder in terms of pulling your finger out of your backside and getting it to the gym. And I say that with love, because sometimes we need to hear it. You look after yourself. Your body wants you to so bad. And I'm not for a minute saying that going to the gym is suddenly going to mean that you don't have any menopause symptoms. That is not it at all. There's so many other parts of it that the gym is going to have absolutely zero effect on, but it is going to help improve physical parts of your body in terms of strength, muscle mass, all the things we've talked about, and in terms of your mindset, reductions in anxiety, depression, in terms of feeling more positive, more confident, in terms of just feeling like you have a handle on things. And it doesn't have to be the gym. It can be any forms of exercise, any form of resistance training where you are working against the load. But we do want to look after ourselves and really use that mindset part of training to feel like a ninja, because you deserve it. That we all want to go through every stage of our life feeling as positive as possible with the things that we're facing. And if exercise is going to help us to do that, which it 100% is, especially in this situation, then why would we not want to? So if you are fed up of feeling like things are kind of out of control, like you don't feel like you've quite got everything in line in terms of eating healthily, getting your sleep pattern in place, turning off screens, anything, moving more. Maybe you know that you're making some excuses because you are feeling tired and a bit jaded with general life and like menopause symptoms, perimenopausal symptoms, anything, just general life. Do come and join me for the Flex Big 3, which we're starting on the 2nd of January. It would be lovely to see there. It is, I promise you, we literally, like I've talked about in this, we cover the basics and then we cover the basics well. And if more of us covered the basics, we would see a lot more results and we wouldn't be constantly looking for like this magic solution. So I promise I'm not going to come at you and suddenly tell you that you need to train in the gym 5 times a week. But I am going to tell you what you need to start thinking about and start putting into practice religiously and very simply, may I add, to help you feel better, to move better, and to get that healthy, energized feeling in yourself. Right, I'm going to shut up. But I'll see you again for my next chat, where no doubt I will waffle on for frigging ages as well. Speak to you soon.